Ok, hoy vamos a tomar apuntes sobre cuando usamos el pretérito y cuando usamos el imperfecto. La mayoría de los apuntes es en inglés. It's important that you listen to the entire presentation because while a great deal of it is in English and a great deal of it is there on the PowerPoint for you, a great deal of the information you need, there are some examples, etc., that will only be given out loud. So you do need to make sure that you have all accurate information. As you're aware, the most basic rule that we've used for describing when we use the preterite is SCAP, or single completed action in the past. This means pretty much that something happened once. However, this is a little more complex than just, everything that happened once uses el pretérito. We can also use the preterite to describe something that happened at a specific time, for example, on a certain day, a certain month, or in a certain year, or at a certain time of day. For example, if we're talking about the time at which Spanish class started for period D on Monday, November 23rd, we could say La clase empezó a las 11:30. You could also be talking about something that happened a few times, like 2, 3, 4 times, but not many. It wasn't something that happened always or every day or many, many times. It happened a very set, finite number of times. For example, you could say, Yo fui a California 3 veces. I went to California 3 times. It's a very set number of times, and the number of times I went is given. For the imperfecto, we've been using the mnemonic device DARTS to describe when we use it. We'll go into what the meaning of all of the letters of DARTS in detail on the next slides, but please remember D is for description, A for action in progress, R for repeated actions, T for time, and S for simultaneous actions. So for description, we're talking about appearance. Por ejemplo, ella era alta. Emotions. Por ejemplo, el chico estaba triste. Weather. Por ejemplo, hacía frío este fin de semana. It was cold last weekend. You also use the imperfect a great deal to give background information in a story. For example, describing who was around, what was there, setting the scene. You'll get into this in a bit of detail this year, but in more detail next year. The A stands for action in progress, and what this really means is that you're using the imperfecto progresivo or imperfect progressive. So, for example, you have Yo estaba mirando la televisión. You'll note that you have a conjugation of the verb estar in the imperfect, plus a present participle, which is equal to the English ing form, immediately following the conjugation of estar. So if you see a form of a verb, this present participle, ending with ando or yendo, it's a good bet for the time being, as we're just getting started with this, that you're going to use the imperfect to fill in a blank before that ando yendo form of a verb. Remember, that's just for now when we're getting started. R is for repeated actions. And you'll note that the big difference here between what I said, something that happened a certain number of times, a very small number of times, with the preterite, is that we're talking about things that happened multiple times in the past. And the keywords that I give you here, they're not all the keywords that you're going to need for the imperfecto or all of those that could be useful, but it's a good start for you now. And the keywords do indicate that this is something that whatever you're talking about happened often. So las palabras claves, or keywords that I want you to know now, are siempre for always, nunca for never, todos los días and cada día for every day, muchas veces for many times. Moving on to time, we're talking about the hour, eran las 11:30, date, era el 12 de mayo, and age in the past, yo tenía 13 años. Finally, we move on to simultaneous actions, which talks about 2 or more things happening at the same time. So una palabra clave, a keyword here, is mientras. We're talking about, for example, yo cocinaba la cena mientras mi hijo hacía la tarea. I was cooking dinner while my son did homework. Now, para practicar. You are going to read un artículo que usa el pretérito y el imperfecto. And I am going to read out loud for those of you who do better hearing how things sound than just reading them. Each option. So if you hear me repeat things, it's because I'm reading the sentence with first the option in the preterite and then an option in the imperfect. If you don't need to hear this read out loud, you may feel free to just go to each slide and do the activity on your own. But for those of you who do better listening than reading, this is an option you may want to take advantage of. You need to choose la forma correcta del verbo para completar la actividad. And I strongly advise that you use your notes for help. Empezamos. Un ataque en París. Remember once again that I am going to read out loud each option. First the option in the preterite and then the option in the imperfecto when you see verbs in parentheses. Eran las 9:20 de la noche. Oops, sorry, let me fix that. Fueron las 9:20 de la noche. Or eran las 9:20 de la noche. La gente estuvo comiendo, or la gente estaba comiendo, en restaurantes o viendo conciertos en los teatros. También hubo, or también había, muchas personas mirando un partido de fútbol entre Francia y Alemania. De repente, unos asesinos empezaron a disparar a las personas en unos restaurantes. Otros asesinos entraron otros asesinos entraban en un teatro y dispararon disparaban a las personas que estuvieron a las personas que estaban viendo el concierto. Otros terroristas usaron otros terroristas usaban bombas cerca del estadio. La gente que estuvo la gente que estaba mirando el partido de fútbol tuvo tenía mucho miedo. El presidente de Francia también estuvo el presidente de Francia también estaba en el estadio. Él salió él salía después del ataque. Pero durante y después de los ataques, los ciudadanos de París decidieron, los ciudadanos de París decidían ayudar a otras personas. Ellos abrieron, ellos abrían sus puertas a personas que no pudieron o que no podían volver a casa esa noche. En vez de hablar de los terroristas que mataron, en vez de hablar de los terroristas que mataban a 130 personas esa noche, debemos recordar a los otros que ayudaron, debemos recordar a los otros que ayudaban, a las víctimas y a otras personas, la policía, los paramédicos, los bomberos, los enfermeros, y muchos de los ciudadanos de París. And I believe that is all. Have a great night, and hope that you had a great holiday weekend.